Okay, so we got another target now.
I can't wait to torture these people. Oh, I get my rocks off of this one.
Yeah, you see, corruption exists in every organization, and money is the root of all evil. And if there's anybody that needs fighting, right, needs to be fought for right now, it's Canadian Forces members and anyone in the military or in service that's on the ground, boots on the ground, because they're the ones that have to do the work. Right? Officers do the planning. The NCOs and NCMs, they're the ones that actually do the grunt work. They load the airplanes. They pack the parachutes. They load the guns. They haul around the artillery. They pick it up. They put it on the truck. They take it off the truck. They make sure everyone has what they need, and so on and so forth. And it's not their responsibility, and should not be their mission to tear down the whole structure. Because fill in the blank, that's what I'm going to say about this one. And there's corruption, major corruption within procurement and the association with the military industrial complex, in which backroom deals happen. And this is well documented throughout history. If you want the information, go on ahead and find it. And as has been said in previous, the equipment and the structures are all built by the lowest bidder, and it puts people's lives at risk. Like, no joke. Let's not forget about that, right? So you're watching this as part of my audience, and I'm directing at this to give you encouragement, because I'm supported by so many different people to have this opportunity, and to even just exist, because the absolute power corrupts absolutely. And when people get to a position of power and psychopathy, they want to kill people that resist them. They get so hot under the collar, like, oh my God, I can't believe this fella is gonna tear me down. He's gonna take away my pension. He's gonna take away all my opportunities that I had with dealing with Lockmart and so on and so forth. Oh, General Dynamics Land System is gonna have my freaking ass on this. I'm gonna be on the coals for the rest of my life. I'll be living homeless. Well, guess what? You put other people's lives at risk, and you force them to do things that they didn't want to do. And this is the result. And I can't be persecuted or prosecuted, as far as I can tell, and as far as I know, for speaking for the people that can't. Because what is it? Dereliction of duty? Or mutiny? Or what's it? Orders, not following orders. Insubordination, that's it. And in the military, for insubordinate action, they get slapped on the wrist, and after a couple of times, they get sent off to Kingston Pen, military prison. You don't want to go there. That's freaking just no thanks. Terrible. Place is freaking cold. Not speaking from experience, but speaking from testimony, and just staring at the building, like that place being like 200 years old or whatever it is. All that stone. Here in London, there's the brig at Wolseley Barracks, and I was inside it, and imagine having to be a soldier that's been a bit of a rebel and a bit of a shit disturber, so to speak, and to sleep on a cot that is just like metal straps, and that's it, right? You get a couple of blankets and a pillow. Well, there you go, soldier. Why don't you figure your life out, and get back to work? And then inside of the cells, right, in the stone, some soldiers, they carve their names into the stone. This is the truth. Go and see it for yourself. It's in the part of the museum. I encourage you to go there. The RCR Museum here in London. There's a lot of special and rare items in there. I won't say what. And I don't want you to break in there either, because obviously you break into a military establishment, your life is over. Let's not forget that. So corruption, with the military-industrial complex, and I got a couple of ideas here, a couple of examples I'm going to go after, and I'm looking at the Diemco C7. Now, and this is from modernfirearms.net, and this rifle has been in service since 1984, and they just slapped a bit of furniture on it. They might have changed the barrels, but overall, as far as I remember, it has the same service reputation as the L82. So it'll jam, it'll fire out a battery, and it'll catch you off guard. Terrible stuff, especially in the heat of the moment. Excuse me. Because like once after the rifle and after the chamber wears out, right, and the action doesn't want to go in, it gets gummed up really easy. That was actually what happened to the Colt M14. That was originally fielded in the first practice in Vietnam, with soldiers didn't know how to deal with the weapon, and they didn't have a cleaning schedule, and field stripping and cleaning a rifle in the field is time consuming, and you don't always have the time or the opportunity to do that. And I never got to shoot this rifle when I was in cadets. It would have been a ball. I would have loved that. But things happen and we move on. Okay, so what's something similar? And a lot of people don't know this about the C7 pattern rifle and the Colt M16 or M4. No, not the M14. M16. What's that? All right, Colt. That's right. And I said M14. M14 was the previous rifle in the U.S. military, and for Canada, it was the let's see, it was a Browning. G3 pattern rifle, G3. Okay, so it's the other variant of the G3. I forget right now. That was the main service rifle for the longest time, and within Canada. So there's this Setme AB2. Okay. It slips my mind right now. That's okay. That's why we have the internet. Brain fart. Total brain fart. Anyways, it's not that important. Anyone that's viewing this and has an interest will know. So actually, let's go to Forgotten Weapons. Playlists. Paratrooper rifles, no. Thompson, East German. Oh, it's further down here, somewhere in here. Canadian battle rifles. So a Ross Mark 1. The Diemco C7. This really bothers me right now. FN C1.
So this is the FNC one?
Oh, FAL, that's right. The FNFAL. So there we go. Yeah, I gotta like the FAL. It's a serious weapon. You know, that not a high cyclic rate, but you know, deadly with every shot, considering its chamber. So FAL chambered at 7.62, 51 NATO, whereas the C7 is 5.56. If I got this information correctly, yeah, 5.56. So you can carry more ammo, but it doesn't have the same penetration because of the velocity, the muzzle velocity. So when you think about it, okay, so the same rifles have basically been in service. So you had the updates with the A1 and then the A2 with plastic green furniture, which I'm sure most of you guys loved. Yeah. But Norinco. So Norinco is a Chinese company that has been responsible for copying and then manufacturing North American and other arms as best as they can. You know, they get a hold of the original. And okay, so on Wikipedia it says in service from 1980 to present, used by users Cambodia, China, Ghana, Iran, Libya, Malaysia, North Korea, Paraguay, Philippines, Senegal, South Sudan, Syria, Thailand. Bless me. Anyways, FNFAL. She might say I'm from another era. You know, I belong in a museum. Yeah, probably. Now, I don't want to throw shade at this thing, and I'm going to move on from it because there's just so many other reasons why the corruption exists, and I really don't like it. You know, because you know the people on the ground, they pay for it. The people in hangars, they pay for it. The people on the ships, they pay for it. You know, the classic examples being those 2 diesel submarines that came from Britain that were bought used. No, let's not pay for a fully new submarine. No, let's not do that. And then what? There was a fire on board, and some people died. So British submarines to Canada, fire. Canadian Encyclopedia, late 1990s. Yeah, okay. Chicoutimi is assisted by ships of the Royal Navy in North Atlantic on 5th of October, 2004, after a fire on the submarine's voyage to Canada. So 4th of October 2004, departed Fastlane, Scotland, bound for Halifax. In rough seas about 110 nautical miles northwest of Silgo, Ireland, a crew member discovered a loose nut on the upper vent of the submarine's conning tower. With the sub preparing to make its first dive later that day, repairs were ordered. There were 2 options for carrying out the work: run the submarine opened up with both the upper and lower hatches open, or close the area off, effectively locking the technicians out of the sub by shutting the lower lid. So I believe they were towing it. Okay. So what would hold up? What would this, you know, what would motivate this? So Canada, this is Canada by submarines. This again from the Canadian Encyclopedia, and today's date is the February 9th, 2023. Was one of 4 upholder class, say Chicoutimi, decommissioned by the Royal Navy in the early 90s. Soon afterwards, in 94, retired them, decided to go to the nuclear fleet. The program was okay. So Canada wanting to replace its aging Oberon-class submarines purchased the second-hand upholders in 1998 at an initial cost of $750 million. That's a lot of money, like for used submarines. Holy goodness! You could have, again, for the same amount of money, you could have had, the shipyards in the East End, out east. Well, by my compass, this way, really. Yeah, that way, this way, about that way, somewhere. To commission them to build a brand new set of brand new submarines, like one for the East Coast, one for the West Coast, and they would have been absolutely perfect, like no problem. So what if some deal like this was made, someone made money off of it, because it would have had to come out of the procurement budget. So let's look at the procurement budget for 2004. Procurement of Canada's Victoria class submarines. Report on the Standing Committee on National Defense and Veterans Affairs, April 2005. So, with the Freedom of Information Act, you can find a lot of things that people want to keep secret, and they don't want you to know because it would burn them forever in history as corrupt. Again, I have a lot of people helping me because this stuff needs to come out, and we can't have people's lives at risk because of equipment and equipment failures, and because the people at the top are trying to skim the cream off the milk and make cheese, fermented and demented by putting people's lives at risk when they shouldn't be. Okay, so exclusive summary or executive summary, list of recommendations. This is a table of contents. I'm going to download this. It's a lot of good information. Say that. And so how easy it is now to find information. We need not be terrified by the internet. We should be empowered by it. Because there are no secrets on the digital frontier. I'm not going to name people that were part of the committee or the clerks or anything like that. Use the Freedom of Information Act and find and deduce your own conclusions. Okay, so here we go. Decisions to maintain Canada's submarine capability. I'll just go over the summary here, so that you got a starting point. This is why I'm calling for support from the government of Canada and from my alma mater, because I'm just suspended from Trent University at this point. I never left. I'm still a student. So if you don't help me, someone else will. Introduction. Okay, Canadians were once again reminded of the dangers Canadian Forces personnel faced while carrying out their duties when a fire broke out aboard HMCS Chicoutimi on October 5th, 2004. The last of the 4 Upholder-class submarines acquired by Canada from the United Kingdom had just begun its voyage across the Atlantic Ocean to its new home when the fire started. The crew members of the Chicoutimi had to react quickly in order to save their lives and their vessel, but some of them suffered injuries, including Lieutenant Chris Saunders, who died after being evacuated to a hospital. I told you. This is a steel trap right here. Okay? I may just be one of the smartest people to ever exist in Canada. I swear to God. All right, let's see. The tragic loss of life and the dramatic situation faced by the remaining crew members until the crippled submarine could be towed back to its port of departure caught the attention of all Canadians. Well, obviously, why the hell did Lieutenant Chris Sanders have to freaking die? And why did these crew members have to suffer injuries for someone else's incompetence and for someone else's hegemony and greed? Absolutely disgusting. Okay, just reading more of the introduction here. I don't even want to read it right now. Okay, the plans, even the best laid plans don't survive the first 5 minutes of conflict. That's an old idiom from military strategy. So let's look at the Upholder submarine class and how long they were in service for. You know, we're going down a bit of a rabbit hole after, you know, I mentioned the Colt C7, but we'll come back to that. I'm sure there's a correlation between the two of them because, you know, all the budget combined for acquisitions and procurement for these pieces of equipment. And then I'm going to get into my favorite, which has to do with the Air Force and the long-standing service of the Tudor and the Hornet, and then the F-35, which I appreciate the F-35 for its engineering, but in my opinion, absolutely the worst choice for Canada. Okay, so in commission, let's Upholder Victoria class, British U-class submarine. No, not that one. Built in the United Kingdom in the 1980s. So 12 were plans. So there was 4 of them. HMS Upholder, Unseen, Ursula, Unicorn. Design and development. In the late 1970s, the UK Ministry of Defense, MOD, which I did know someone that used to work there, by the way. That's how I got that document over there on counterterrorism. Shh. All right, so the MOD proposed a diesel-electric submarine designed to replace the Oberon class. The new submarine class was intended to provide a more cost-effective alternative for training and in coastal defense. So they're not a high seas craft, right? They're too small because the further out that you get into the Atlantic Ocean, the bigger the craft has to be for stability. You know, because rocking and rolling and tumbling. You know, if you've ever taken the ferry from Newfoundland to the mainland and vice versa, you'll know what I'm talking about. All right, so, okay. The announcement for the new design took place in September 1979. 5 designs were put forward, with the MOD selecting the 1,960-ton design. However, the need for export potential upped the displacement limit to 2,400 tons to allow for flexibility in construction if the need for alternative machinery and systems arose. It was constructed by the Vickers Shipbuilding and Engineering Limited. The design displays between 2,168 and 2,220 tons surfaced and 2,400 to 2,455 tons submerged. So a fairly large sorry, I want to say aircraft, a fairly large sea craft. Submarines are 230 feet and 7 inches, so 70.28 meters long, and a beam of 25 feet, so like this, and then so of course length beam, and a draft of 17 feet 8 inches, so whatever's behind it. So the smaller the draft with a submarine is the same as turbulent flow or turbulence behind an aircraft, and so the cone behind it. So the lesser the cone, the more efficient that the craft is. Okay, diesel electrics. Yeah, that's enough to give it. Because then there's so at the bottom, Canadian acquisition. Anyways, what the gist of it is that, as I said, there was nothing wrong with those submarines. What was wrong was the fact that they were mothballed, and that we bought them when they were no longer serviceable, and the fact that they left before they had a proper inspection, because somebody didn't want to pay the British, probably didn't want to pay the British Navy to do a proper inspection. That's the truth of the matter. Because I can tell you from, in the aviation industry, that happens sometimes too. Defer the maintenance, because it's something like a submarine is exactly the same as an aircraft, and a pressure vessel. But whereas the aircraft expands, the submarine is the opposite, so it's under compression. So expansion for an aircraft, compression for a submarine. So we'll leave that alone. Yeah, okay, and let's look at historical. Another piece of equipment that I saw recently when I was at Base Borden, and I was terrified by looking at it and to see how thin the hull of the craft was. So Canadian. LAV. So it wasn't a LAV 3. So APC. Vehicles. Historical. Okay, so this is off of CanadianSoldiers.com/vehicles. So you have the Kangaroo, which I know there's a couple very light that was used in the Second World War, and then the M113A1, which is an American design, first fielded by the Americans and used in the Vietnam War. There's a photograph here from its usage in West Germany. And then another photo, Canadian with ACAV kits in the Balkans, painted white. Then there's the Bobcat. It was a prototype design in 1958. I didn't even know about that. And the Grizzly, the Bison, VV206. So let's see, it was a 6-wheeler. So the Grizzly, that's what I saw. I was terrified. Looking at the thing. It was just like, that's how thin the armor is? And you want me to get inside that? And you want me to go up against tanks? Are you stupid? Okay, so the Bisons, 1990, 199 Bisons were purchased as APCs for the militia. Excuse me. Let's see. The militia The rear compartment of the vehicle was larger than the Grizzly. However, the militia only had these vehicles a short time before they were shipped to missions overseas with the regular force. So from reserves to Reg Force, the first operational use of the Bison was in Somalia, where the Royal Canadian Dragoon Squadron, attached to the Canadian Airborne Regiment, used them. Ambulance and engineering versions were also built. So the LAV, okay, LAV 3, has to do with the Striker and so forth. Let's see. Yeah, so the Striker is produced here in London, Ontario. I got nothing against General Dynamics Land Systems, but the ways of warfare change so quickly now, and I can't really imagine what it would be like to be in this thing while you're in Afghanistan. Like, absolutely incredible. Okay, we're at a half hour, and I got to use the washroom. We'll see you soon.